Dave Trentadue, this just breaking about the Montreal Alouettes. Of course, yesterday they released 14 players to get down to 46. They named their 10-man practice roster as well. They put some players on injured reserve, but something else just trickling out.
Yes, Didier Orméjuste from our sister station at RDS is reporting that the Alouettes have released starting cornerback Mitchell White.
All right, starting cornerback Mitchell White.
Yeah, Mitchell
Your
White.
thoughts?
So, I mean, I guess they saw someone who could replace him, and between him and Dominic Ellis, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the backfield for the Montreal Alouettes.
Are you worried?
No, I wouldn't say worried. Excited is more of a term I would use.
All right, and if you missed it earlier, the Owls released Dominic Ellis, who has now signed with
the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
All right,
just a few hours ago.
Will he haunt the? Will he haunt them?
You never know. Hamilton is an interesting team also to look at. I mean, the Tiger Cats. Their quarterback is out with a knee injury, Zach Calaros, so they have Jeremiah Masoli in there. And they went to acquire some pretty good wide receivers. They got Chad Owens and...
What is this, Ticats Hour? All right, let's move on.
I'm sorry, let's move on.
NHL Draft Talk here on TSN 690. As we mentioned, it begins next Friday, the coverage. What do you have for us?
All right, first I want to talk about RFAs. I mean, last year, if you remember, Dougie Hamilton was traded from Boston to Calgary. Chicago sent Brandon Saad to Columbus. I guess maybe over the fear for some offer sheets, you know. This year, there's some interesting names, RFA names. There's Nikita Kucherov in Tampa. You got Braden Shen in Philadelphia, Seth Jones in Columbus, Nathan McKinnon, although he's... so, I mean, the list goes on. Jacob Trouba in Winnipeg. I mean, do you see any of these names or...
I don't know if I see them. I'd love to see it, though. I'd love to see it. Can you imagine somebody going after someone like Nathan McKinnon with the speed and the skill and the tracker, the short track record, but impressive track record so far? Colorado would have to match, right? They would have to match. They've already actually been on record. Joe Sakic has said they will not be active July 1st for free agency. Maybe that is because right now they're worried about signing Nathan McKinnon, either preparing themselves not to spend extra money because they got to lock McKinnon up, and there could be a scenario, as you mentioned, about him getting an offer sheet from someone else. The penalty's stiff. I mean, you're talking to a bunch of picks, but you're also talking about a guy who's could be a perennial all-star the way that he started.
Definitely, and it hasn't been done since. I think Ryan O'Reilly was the last one who was offered an offer sheet a few years ago, and if you remember, there was a Chalmerson. The Sharks had offered him an offer sheet. But, I mean, it's more, do you think that they'll be traded because of a fear of the offer sheet? That opens up an interesting storyline as well.
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see as many this year. I think it's more going to be a case of the Chicago Blackhawk type deals where they moved Teravainen, but because they were able to move Bickle at the same time. And if you're the Blackhawks, you're in a salary cap hell, and you have to figure it out every year just to keep your team afloat. And it's the same thing for a team like the Kings. People have been asking if Lucic is going to be re-signed by them. They'd love to keep him, but if they do that, then they won't have enough money to address some needs possibly on the blue line, where it's, Doughty and Muzzin and then a few other guys, right? Well, Doughty, Muzzin, they have Martinez, who's pretty good as well, but they could use at least one more guy on that blue line, and I don't know if they're going to have the money unless they move a player or two out. So I could see the Kings moving somebody. Now, I don't remember if you had a King there on your restricted free agent list. If not, then they're just going to have to make a trade or two here.
Yeah, I do not have a King on that list. I mean, Lucic is the big UFA there. So, I mean, that actually leads into my next question. Do you see any free agent rights being traded? I mean, the Coyotes acquired Alex Goligoski the other night for a 5th-round pick. So, I mean, there's Steven Stamkos, there's Keith Yandel, Milan Lucic. Do you see any?
Absolutely. I think we're going to see something like that. You think back to the Canadiens trying to get Matt Sundin, right? When his rights were acquired by the Canadiens. Didn't work out for them, but it's certainly a great opportunity for a team to pitch a guy solo for a week or two before the big day, and you can wine and dine him and bring him into town if you're lucky, if the guy is open indeed to coming to you. So yeah, I think there's always the appetite for that. The deal with the Coyotes gave up a 5th-round
pick.
Yeah,
Goligoski.
That's fairly high.
That's pretty decent.
You know, that's fairly high. So they must think they have a shot here to do this. I don't know if that's naive necessarily.
It's weird because you can't admit that you have a shot at him because that would be tampering. So like how you must feel confident in order to trade.
Well,
something away for
he's
just
yours as soon as you acquire him. There's no tampering.
No, but I mean, like, you have to have a feeling that he's going to sign with you if you want to get.
I see what you're saying. Right,
you know?
Beforehand.
Yes.
Well, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Exactly.
Yeah, nobody tampers at all.
Of course not.
Jimmy just rolled his eyes. Jimmy G rolling his eyes. Jimmy, do you have a tampering story? No?
No, not personally.
It's Game Points here on TSN 690. We are here until 7 o'clock tonight. Still to come here on this program. At around 6:30, we'll have Montreal native William Sierra, a young right-handed pitcher, making his way, a junior national team member for Team Canada, drafted by the Mets, and we'll talk to him about that experience. Also, on this program, in our next segment, Jimmy G will have your SportsCenter update, but in our next segment, we're going to talk to a gentleman by the name of Michele Contele, and he is the president and founder of Collectors Cafe, and they are in charge of bringing in a very special item here to Montreal next week. It'll be on display at City Hall, I believe, next Thursday and next Friday. That would be the contract that Jackie Robinson signed with the LA Dodgers. I believe that Larry King is one of the owners of that contract, and he'll be in town for the press conference on Wednesday. And if you recall, if baseball fans in Montreal recall, a couple of months ago, Larry King actually tweeted that baseball should return to Montreal. So I wonder if somebody will ask him about that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the...
Is there a reason, Larry, that you threw that out there? Are you sick of a team in Tampa, or is there another reason? Did you sneak into a game at Jarry Park? Montreal, Quebec, hello. I don't know. I'd love to know the story as to why randomly Larry King tweeted about the Montreal Expos return. Maybe it was a dare. I have no idea. I would love to know that story. That's next Wednesday. Maybe you should go to the press conference, Dave.
That would be cool.
Yeah. It is Game Points here on TSN 690. We'll catch you up with the Euro soccer results. Jimmy G has got that in his SportsCenter update. On the other side, we will talk about this famous contract signed by Jackie Robinson back in town. That's next.